What's up, everyone? It's Mr.StealUrGurl, back to bring you another StealSpeaks Open. It is coming closer and closer to the end. We are in round 4, everyone. It is the QAI prototype facility. You don't see this map very often, but it is super cool. Typically, it is played in stages. You begin with air and then maybe move to land or hang out in the airspace. So anyhow, thank you everyone for hanging in there for so long with this tournament. I know it has been a long time. I believe it began in summer and it is now October. I believe it started in August and is now in October. So thank you. I want to thank the viewers for hanging in there and waiting each week for the videos, and the players for hanging in there and being flexible with me as well as themselves. So let's see who the players are and how they get on. Let's hit that play button. We got Althis spawning in as the purple Cybran player, having his commander take a little bit of a break there in the beginning. That's okay, these things do happen. And his opponent, Alphahex, spawning in as the purple, blue Cybran. And I really like where my cursor is at Cybran symbol there. I don't think I've ever noticed that. Alphahex is the blue Cybran, dropping down 2 air factories and what looks like energy generators. That is going to be an awesome thing. What is Althis doing? Going kind of slow with the air, but already, ahead with the air. But Althis really wanted to get that eco first. So I think that air factory was first by the commander, then eco, and an engineer building an air factory to make sure that eco is really nice for that commander. And Althis appears to have 1 air unit to Alphahex's 0. So Alphahex is now finishing up his 2nd air factory, while Althis already has 2. And Althis sees all that he could see, and Alphahex researches the radar. 3 air units, that is quite significant considering there's only 2 for his opponent. Now that's 3v3. See that right at this point in the game, your air number really, really matters. The amount of air you have on the field. And Alphahex gets a great scout off. These air units are going to be chasing for a little while. And if Alphahex would attack right now, oh, very nice split of the air units there for Althis to pull back and really shut that little air raid down. And I like how Alphahex took that air unit and just got out of there with it. That was a nice distraction. Maybe that was a distraction causing Althis to hesitate. That was an awesome job there. See, this is what you see in top level play here. Althis kind of hesitated there because he had to split his units to fight the oncoming air raid. You see, I'm going to pause it real quick to explain that. See, if that air raid was allowed to happen, those units that Althis had would have died very quickly, and that would leave Alphahex there he would have more air units. And when you have more air units, you are probably going to win. So Althis had to split and pursue, and then split and defend. So that makes it very difficult there for Althis, and it allowed, that slight hesitation allowed for a little bomb to go off on that Portland engineer, and for that 1 air unit to escape. That was a pro play there by Alphahex, I must say, and both players actually, because the speed in which Althis was able to split. And this is not a favorable engagement here for Alphahex, because Alphahex has less units, and his units did not engage together. They engaged a little bit apart from each other. So, as you can see, the larger group of air units won quite decidedly. And that's a very painful thing to happen to Alphahex, because this amount of air could rip apart your air units very quickly. And at Control K, very smart, wise thing to do, because that is just free research for your opponents. And Alphahex right now is doing the wise thing and pulling his air units and keeping them away from Althis's radar, keeping Althis from seeing where his air units are. I'm going to speed it up just a little bit. And that's definitely what you want to do. And radar structures for Althis, and he's going to see everything. And down goes the radar. And a very crappy engagement there from Althis, but it was very well countered, because Althis had to stop and allow those units to get ahead of him. That was the way to do it, because Alphahex had a favorable engagement, because whenever you could be behind your enemy air units, they're not firing at you, but you are firing at them easily. So down goes Amex, as Alphahex is really hoping on this research game. He paused the air units, and I don't know what he's going to do. Like, he's not going to have anything to really do much. And down goes another mass extractor and a poor little engineer. And see, there's what I'm talking about. That's what you want to do. And unfortunately, in the return, most of Alphahex's Air Force, or at least a large portion of Alphahex's Air Force, got shot right there in the back. And I like what Althis is doing. Even though it appears he's winning, he's still expanding. That is very well played. And I like that engineer is helping with the air production. That's very helpful. And a little AA with a scout. The scout right there was an awesome idea. And an AA tower, that's going to be super annoying there for Alphahex to deal with. And it appears that Air Factory is being reclaimed. That could turn into kind of a mess there for Althis if he's not careful. And a scout there. See, even though he has only one plane left, he's still scouting. That is some pro play there. He's only got one left, and the scout's going off, as Alphahex is struggling to keep his base alive. And the AA unit placement is actually quite nice. And he decided to keep that air unit alive. That's a good idea, that air factory. And TML going down on a proxy factory. I like it. I would really like to see that AA tower underneath the shields, but it just didn't work out. A point defense to keep Alphahex. This is like a no man's land. Alphahex cannot do much right now, but take mobile missile launcher right to the face. Or that's tactical missile, either or. So a radar, a couple tactical mobile missile launchers, a point defense. This is a no man's land here for Alphahex. Alphahex really has to be careful right now. And the air units are paused, as it appears that Althis saw what Alphahex has, and he's matching his what are these things called? Research stations. And Alphahex power detonate of all structures. That's not a bad idea, but unfortunately a point defense creep is going to make very short work of these factories. And that research station is going to be a gigantic loss. It's worth so much, and Alphahex is being repaired by that engineer. And are you serious? A long-range artillery? That's what you're building, Alphahex? That is absolutely insane. I don't know how you're going to be able to survive off this one, but I think Alphahex is... Are you kidding me? Reclaiming, and boom! Down goes Alphahex. I think he was being silly there at the end, trying to reclaim that. If he was able to pull that off, I would have been super, super, super impressed. If he was able to even get one of those point defense. But the fact that I even tried that was awesome. And the mass extractor took some massive damage there from that one long-range artillery piece. And that's what they're good for, really bombarding at a range, obviously, because they're long-range artillery. And I like the base setup here for Althis. That's very, very good. And I think the very first air engagement really sealed the fate of Alphahex. But there were some really awesome plays, like that pro split over here, saving that one single air unit. Because in the beginning, air units are so freaking precious, and they're so precious towards the end even. I mean, it's like they, especially fighter bombers, you don't want to be the guy with less. And Althis, there he is, our victor, just standing there in a cloud of Alphahex smoke. So very well played there, Althis. You are moving on to the StealSpeaks Open semifinals. That is round 5. That is going to be a best of 3. So I look forward to seeing you in that. I believe you are going to be facing, well, I'm not going to say you're facing, just in case people aren't looking at the brackets and they're actually going through my videos. So no spoilers there, anybody. None of that. So Alphahex, you did awesome. Last match in round 3, you took out Nuclear Pizza, and now you're fighting another really good player. And that's how it goes here in the later rounds of the winner's bracket. You are going to be playing the best of the best. And I'm not saying that the loser's bracket is anything to scoff at, because they are the best of the best down there as well. And it's unfortunate it's called the loser's bracket. I keep saying that, but it really is. But anyhow, Alphahex, you did an awesome job against a really great player. But you still have another chance. You are in the loser's bracket, unfortunately. Again, I don't want it to be called that, but you still have another chance. You're an awesome player, so keep up the great work. And thanks for supporting this channel. And Althis, awesome job. I am super pumped to see you in the semifinals. So everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting this channel. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share it with all your friends and family, and even your enemies, because I'm sure they'd appreciate it anyway. And as always, GG.